And at number 10, Mafia Connections. Back when Hollywood first started, it was rumored that mobster Mickey Cohen ran the Hollywood underworld. Back in 1950, it was apparently a known thing that Cohen ran many organized crime units in LA. And over the years, it's been revealed that a lot of big old Hollywood stars had connections to the Mafia. Even singer Wayne Newton had a connection to the Mafia, and it almost ended up costing his life. Newton was apparently friendly with Guido Penosi, who was a member of the Gambino crime family, but Newton claimed he had no idea that he had mob ties. Then in 1980, there was a lot of scandal around Newton and the Aladdin Hotel that was co-owned with Mafia members. Rumors swirled that Newton was talking to police behind their backs. Then Newton was put on a witness list to testify against the family, which got him a legitimate threat against his life from the Mafia. Thank God he was able to survive the ordeal. And at number 9, ageism. Getting older is a fact of life, but in Hollywood they want to avoid it at all costs. And specifically for women, getting older means the end of your career. It's so bad that actors even try to hide their ages, so they can play younger roles. Actress Junie Ho Wang sued the website Internet Movie Database for revealing her true age to fans. Actress Jessica Lange has defied this ageism and has success in her 60s, but she admits it was more difficult as she got older. She said in one interview, quote, "Ageism is pervasive in this industry. It's not a level playing field. You don't often see women in their 60s playing romantic leads, yet you will see men in their 60s playing romantic leads with co-stars who are decades younger." And at number 8, fake fans. In the age of social media, followers are everything, and having tons of followers can mean the difference between getting the part or not. But sadly, a lot of these followers are not real, and it's been exposed that millions of social media followers are fake and are purchased to make it seem like the star is more popular. Some of the world's most popular celebrities are a part of this. Some of the worst offenders are Ariana Grande with 46% fake, Taylor Swift with also 46% fake, and Miley Cyrus with 45% fake. It's worth noting that the celebrity is not always responsible for the fake followers, but they usually are. And at number 7, all press is good press. We've all heard the famous saying, and it seems that celebrities don't care if they're getting good or bad press, they just want to be talked about. People might not know it's actually a PR strategy to get bad press. Sometimes the negativity helps to sell something, or it can take attention off something else. One example of this was back in 2014 when it was revealed that Kim and Kanye were going to be on the cover of Vogue. At the time, Kim was not a fashion icon, and people were outraged. Some readers even threatened to cancel their Vogue subscriptions, calling Kimye disgraceful and inappropriate for the iconic publication. Anna Wintour ended up going forward with the cover, and it was one of the most talked about issues of all time. We're not sure if it was all for press, but the negativity definitely helped to sell magazines. And at number 6, body issues. Looking perfect is something that all celebrities struggle with, but having the perfect figure is sadly something that the industry forces you to have to be successful. Many celebrities have come forward to share their stories of disordered eating, which was caused by Hollywood bigwigs saying that they weighed too much. Even agents and managers have told a star that they need to lose weight in order to be cast. Former child actor Raven Simone admitted on The View that she was told at age 7, while starring on The Cosby Show, that she couldn't eat certain things because she was getting too big. This experience caused her to have a lifelong struggle with food. Demi Lovato has also been open about their eating issues. Demi remembered that when they were only 3 years old, they hoped that their stomach was flat. People are now fighting back against these standards and advocating for more body positivity in Hollywood, but it's a long road ahead. Halfway number 5, Scientology. Scientology is a mysterious religion that happens to have a ton of A-list celebrity followers. It's been said that the founder of Scientology, L. Ron Hubbard, used celebrities because he knew that they would attract followers to this new religion. This is also the reason that the Church of Scientology has a huge luxurious building right on Hollywood Boulevard. In the 1950s, L. Ron Hubbard created the quote, Project Celebrity, a written program that offers rewards to Scientologists who bring in some of the biggest names in Hollywood. Today, some of Hollywood's biggest stars follow Scientology, including Tom Cruise, John Travolta, and Kirstie Alley. Apparently, these stars are rewarded with butler-esque employees to do anything and everything for them. Former high-ranking members spoke out against this, claiming that they saw Tom Cruise use underpaid Scientology workers for years. And at number 10, Paris Hilton's boarding school. In 2020, Paris Hilton opened up about her traumatic childhood after keeping it a secret for most of her life. In her documentary This Is Paris, Hilton alleged that she'd been subjected to toxic and harmful treatment while attending Provo Canyon School in Utah, which was a boarding school for troubled teens. Hilton revealed that while she was there, she would be isolated in solitary confinement for no reason and be forced to take pills that made her feel numb. Paris and her entire family kept this secret for her entire time that Paris was a socialite and an A-list star. Along with her difficult childhood, Paris also exposed that her voice was faked, and she made it sound higher to play into the dumb blonde stereotype. And at number 9, Joan Crawford. Back in old Hollywood, they didn't have the beauty products that we have today, and actors were forced to use alternative measures to look their best on camera. Actress Joan Crawford took this to the extreme and admitted to soaking her eyes in boric acid every week to make them, quote, sparkle on camera. She exposed this years later in her autobiography called My Way of Life. When talking about this beauty regimen, Crawford said once a week she'd steam her face, apply a mask, and soak her eyes in boric acid, casually instructing, quote, while the mask is working, place pads soaked in witch hazel and boric acid over your eyelids and put on your favorite music. Obviously, this was an extremely bad idea that could have made her go blind, but she risked it all just to look better. And at number 8, the black box. We are just now scratching the surface of the horrific things that child actors had to endure in the days of old Hollywood. Sadly, one of the punishments adults on set would use when a child actor misbehaved was putting them in a thing called a black box. This was a closed-in box where the actor was forced to sit on an actual block of ice as punishment. Shirley Temple spoke of this box in her autobiography and called it an exploitation of her childish innocence. In her book, she said that if any child on the set of Baby Burlesque misbehaved, they were locked in a windowless sound booth dubbed the punishment box, where they'd be forced to sit on a block of ice. Temple was sent to the box several times in her tenure as a child star. Temple added, quote, far as I can tell, the black box did no lasting damage on my psyche. Its lesson of life, however, was profound and unforgettable. Time is money. Wasted time means wasted money means trouble. And at number 7, Jackie Cooper. Stories like this are so horrible, I truly hope this is still not happening today. Actor Jackie Cooper shared a terrible memory of when he was working on set. While he was filming the movie Skippy, Cooper was not able to make himself cry. So the director, who happened to be his uncle, threatened to kill his dog if he didn't cry. Norman Turog, the uncle and director, left lasting trauma on Cooper. In his autobiography, Cooper said about the situation, quote, I began sobbing so hysterically that it was almost too much for the scene. Turog had to quiet me down by saying perhaps my dog had survived the shot, that if I hurried and calmed down a little and did the scene the way he wanted, we would go see if my dog was still alive. Cooper ended up earning the nomination for Best Actor in a Leading Role for his performance in 1931. He was just 9 years old, and he's still the youngest nominee ever for the award. And at number 6, morality clauses. Back in the day, the studios basically owned the actors that they signed, and they made them sign their life away. Once they became an actor for a major studio, the actor totally belonged to them and was not able to make major life decisions without consulting executives. Many of these clauses forced female actors to stay unmarried so they were more marketable to men. Others even forced women to terminate their pregnancies so they would not waste any time that could be spent filming. The studios claimed that these clauses were to, quote, prevent stars from destroying their value through scandal. Stars like Lana Turner, Judy Garland, and Jeanette MacDonald were all held to these clauses, and they would disguise the hospital visits and claim they were for ear infections or other minor treatments. Halfway number 5, closeted LGBT plus actors. To continue along the lines of morality clauses, another use of those clauses were to closet LGBT plus actors, even forcing some of them into sham marriages just to keep up appearances. This part of the clause revolved around not, quote, forfeiting the respect of the public. If the actor breached this part of the contract and had a relationship that was not approved, they would risk losing their entire salary for the role. Also, if the actor was outed, that would mean the end of their career either way. Gay actor Rock Hudson's struggle with his identity was revealed in the biography All That Heaven Allows. In that book, it was exposed that a magazine planned to out him back in the day. At that time, Hudson's agent was the only person who knew the truth and proposed that he get married to squash the story. Hudson immediately married Phyllis Gates, but they divorced a couple years later. The secret stayed with him until days before he passed away. And at number 4, Buddy Ebsen. Back in the days of old Hollywood, the makeup and prosthetics weren't what they are today, and oftentimes the costumes that the actors would wear would be toxic. One fact is that the Wicked Witch's green face in The Wizard of Oz was made with toxic paint. And Buddy Ebsen, who was supposed to play the Tin Man in The Wizard of Oz, did not do so because he had an extreme reaction to the aluminum dust from the makeup. Because of this reaction, he was replaced in the movie with actor Jack Haley. Ebsen was ultimately hospitalized and forced out of Oz's production. For years after the movie, Ebsen claimed that the makeup caused permanent breathing problems for the rest of his life.
At number 10, college dropout. These days, the status quo for many of us is graduate high school, go to college, graduate, find a job, and eventually die, right? Well, many of us are challenging that these days, and Pete Davidson is one of those people. Pete is one of the many celebrities who started going to college but eventually dropped out to pursue his dreams. Pete graduated from Xaverian High School in 2012 and ended up going to St. Francis College for a full semester before eventually deciding to drop out. The comedian said that he wanted to follow his passion for comedy, and so he left college to dedicate himself to his craft, making being a comedian his full-time job. He serves as a good role model to anyone looking to pursue their dreams as well, even though it can be scary, especially when it comes to anything in the arts. Like my mom always used to tell me, follow your passion and the money will follow you. At number 9, war veteran. We know that Pete Davidson is a comedian on SNL. We also know that Pete can sometimes go a little too far with his jokes. Back in 2018, Pete was making jokes about his opinion on the US midterm elections, and he was alongside former Navy SEAL Dan Crenshaw for the bit. Dan is a former soldier who lost his eye in 2012 when an IED exploded. This was no doubt a traumatic event for the former SEAL, but Pete still decided to make a joke about it, though it didn't go over well. During the bit on SNL, Pete joked about Dan's injury, saying, quote, "You may be surprised to hear he's a congressional candidate from Texas and not a hitman in a porno movie. I'm sorry, I know he lost his eye in a war, whatever," end quote. Pete ended up facing some backlash over his comment, and even some of his SNL co-stars made comments about the nature of Pete's joke. Dan ended up getting revenge on Pete, as in the following week on the show he got to poke fun at Pete in return. Though back when this scandal originally happened, not that many people got upset, since he has now had his fame boosted because of Kim K. He risks having his past exposed again, and this scandal might be a secret that Pete wishes would stay secret. Before we carry on talking about some of the shady things that Pete Davidson doesn't want you to know about, why not take a moment to leave a like on this video if you're enjoying it so far, and while you're at it, consider subscribing to the channel to see more videos like this one. At number 8, suspicious social media. The most dedicated fans are always watching their favorite celebrities' every move. Nowadays, celebrities can't get away with much without having their fans expose them, and this is how it was revealed that Pete can be a little sus online. Back when Pete had just started dating Ariana Grande, fans noticed something a little off about the comments he would leave under his girl's posts. An example of this comes from back in 2016 when Pete commented under his then girlfriend Cassie David's post, saying, quote, "I love you so much, Kaz, I'm the luckiest guy in the world. I find new things to love about you every day." Fast forward to 2018 when he was dating Ariana Grande, when he left a comment on one of her posts saying, quote, "Hi, I'm the luckiest contest winner ever," end quote. Some fans found it a little weird how he used the word luckiest so much. It could have just been a coincidence, which is what I believe, but other fans thought that the word repetition could indicate that he was disingenuous with his thoughts and comments on his partners. This could be a stretch, but don't come for me about it, blame the fans. Pete could want this to all stay a secret because fans might catch on to Pete's true nature if all that they're saying is true. At number 7, engagement ring. Speaking of past partners though, let's talk about the time that Pete Davidson and Ariana Grande were engaged. Fans were a little sussed out when they learned about the timeline of Ariana and Pete's engagement, because it turns out that Pete had reached out to a designer about getting a ring for Ariana, suspiciously soon after he and Cassie David had split. Though news of the engagement broke in June of 2018, Pete and Cassie's split broke the news on May 16th, 2018, but according to celebrity jeweler Greg Yuna, Pete had hit him up about an engagement ring for Ariana at the end of May. That didn't leave much time between the breakup and thoughts about marrying another person. Fans thought that this was pretty suspicious and could prompt theories as to what Pete might have been doing behind the scenes. Perhaps this is a secret that Pete would want to keep hidden over risk of being exposed and cancelled. At number 6, Cassie David. Pete Davidson's relationship with Cassie David, the daughter of comedian Larry David, was Pete's first high-profile long-term relationship. Cassie and Pete started seeing each other in May of 2016, and they went through a lot together. As any couple does, they had their share of struggles, but it eventually got to the point where they just couldn't carry on in a healthy relationship, and so they broke up in May of 2018. In 2020, Cassie published a collection of essays titled "No One Asked for This," where she opened up about her breakup with Pete, recalling the struggles that the both of them had with their mental health during their relationship. Cassie was devastated when she and Pete broke up, but because of Pete's struggles with his mental health, she had to do what was best for her and let him go. Cassie also exposed the fact that she and Pete broke up the day before finding out that Pete and Ariana were together. The end of Cassie and Pete's relationship was pretty painful, as you could no doubt imagine, coming out of a 2-year-long relationship, but according to sources, they are friends now and that works for them.
And at number 4, gender pay gap. Yet another example of Hollywood being harmful to women is the gender pay gap between men and women in movies. And unfortunately, this still exists to this day. This issue came to the forefront in 2013 when the movie American Hustle was released. The movie showcases huge movie stars, but unfortunately was exposed that the female actors received less than their male counterparts. An email hack revealed that Jennifer Lawrence and Amy Adams received 2 points less on the revenue sharing agreement than their male co-stars Bradley Cooper and Christian Bale, despite the fact that both actresses are A-list actors. Around the same time, Meryl Streep, the actor with the most Oscars ever, came forward to say that even she was paid less than her male co-stars. House of Cards actress Robin Wright also said that she needed to be paid as much as Kevin Spacey or she would go public against Netflix. And at number 3, animal cruelty. When making a movie, it's imperative that nobody is hurt during the production. This includes animals, and it's common to read, quote, "No animals were harmed during the making of" while watching a movie. But according to many reports out of Hollywood, that's not always true, and animals are often harmed on movie sets. Some of the worst examples include the near-drowning death of a tiger during the filming of Life of Pi, the hitting of a dog on the set of 8 Below, and the dozens of dead fish and squid that washed up on the shore over 4 days during filming of the Disney's Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl. The second season of the HBO series Luck was actually cancelled after 4 horses died during the production. Apparently they were overworked because the production wanted the horse racing to look as real as possible. The people on set also ignored warnings from humane animal monitors on the set, making it clear that they didn't care about the animals. Unfortunately, this loss of life had no repercussion. In at number 2, Hollywood fixers. It's long been rumored that bigwigs in Hollywood will hire fixers to do the dirty work for them. These are basically tough guys that will swoop in and do the dirty work that these powerful people can't get caught doing themselves. This idea was brought up again because of the series Ray Donovan. Back in the days of old Hollywood, where stars would sign their lives away to movie studios, it was common to have these fixers to deal with personal issues. It was rumored that these men would cover up pregnancies of their young stars, along with making accusations against powerful men go away. And these practices still happen today. A fixer named Anthony Pellicano was arrested after it was discovered that he sent threatening notes to celebrities along with a dead fish. Pellicano was allegedly employed by stars such as Michael Jackson, Chris Rock, Kevin Costner, and Steven Spielberg. And finally at number 1, the Illuminati. The Illuminati might be the most elusive group in Hollywood. Nobody is quite sure who they are, but everyone is pretty sure that some of the top celebrities in the world are a part of it. Most notably Beyonce, Jay-Z, Tom Hanks, and Lady Gaga. The subject of the Illuminati was brought to light again recently after David Dobrik did a podcast interview where he spoke about his experience with the Illuminati in Hollywood. He told the story to Zayn and Heath on their podcast, where David revealed that a girl that he knew was approached by the Illuminati and she was told she needed to sacrifice someone to them if she wanted to get famous. Apparently this girl called her mother, who was okay to be the one sacrificed, but the girl did not end up going through with it. Months later, David and this girl were at a Hollywood party with old Hollywood A-listers, and when the topic of the Illuminati came up, the girl told the group about how she was approached and one of the A-listers told her not to get involved with them because the Illuminati ruined his best friend's life. Apparently this A-lister's supposed best friend was Michael Jackson. And at number 3, Jack Nicholson's sister was his mother. This one isn't really related to Hollywood, more so a secret that a Hollywood actor kept for a number of years. Jack Nicholson kept a huge secret from the public almost his entire life, mostly because he didn't know the truth until he was an adult. His entire life, Jack was raised with a sister named June, who was 17 years older than him. But when his parents died, Jack's older sister revealed that Jack was actually her child and her parents raised him as their own to hide the stigma from a young pregnancy. And Jack's parents were actually his grandparents the whole time. And at number 2, Rihanna's father had a second life. Rihanna has spoken in the past about her tense relationship with her father. Throughout her life, he was addicted to alcohol and cheated on her mother essentially their whole marriage. But one day a horrible secret was revealed, and apparently the entire time he was married, Rihanna's father had a second family. He had 3 other children as well, 2 daughters and a son. At one point, Rihanna was even forced to sue her father because he was selling services involving her name and likeness, although she later dropped that suit. And finally, number 1, hidden children. Being a movie star means that you need to be perfect 24/7. That includes hiding pregnancies from the public or trying to make them go away. Celebrities like Kylie Jenner kept her pregnancy totally a secret until after the birth to ensure the media did not affect her. However, there are tons of celebrities who completely hid secret love children from the public. Aerosmith's frontman Steven Tyler had a secret child while in his heyday, so he and the mother decided to hide the paternity from the child. When Liv Tyler was 8, she found out the truth and so did the media. Apparently she was forced to put the pieces of the puzzle together herself when she could no longer ignore the resemblance she had to the singer and his other kids.
At number 5, Staten Island. Let's stray away from the relationship drama and get back to Pete's comedy to reveal another secret that he might want to keep hidden. I told you about one of the jokes Pete made about a former veteran that didn't go over well, but here's another one that ended up offending his hometown of Staten Island. In 2012, a Category 3 hurricane passed through Staten Island, causing destruction and devastation in the area. Hundreds of people people lost their homes and businesses, so with this somber aftermath, it probably wasn't the best time to be making jokes, though Pete ended up doing it anyway. In 2016, Pete ended up poking fun at the natural disaster that ripped through his hometown when he said, quote, "Hurricane Sandy should have finished the job when it landed in Staten Island," end quote. As you can imagine, the joke didn't go over well with those who were affected by the devastation. He later went on to defend his remarks when he said, quote, "To be fair, I was raised there and Staten Island should share some of the blame," end quote. This caused him to face a lot of backlash, and though this has all since died off, there's always a chance of it resurfacing to cause more trouble for the comedian, so maybe he would prefer if this scandal stayed hidden in the shadows. At number 4, Manchester joke. You guys might remember the Manchester attack at Ariana Grande's 2017 concert. It was a bombing at one of her shows that caused mass casualties and injuries. It was certainly no laughing matter, but Pete Davidson still decided to make a joke about the terrible incident, and as you can imagine, it did not go over well. Looking back on it, this is probably something from his past that he would have wanted to keep hidden because it was so controversial. In the fall of 2017, Pete made a joke saying that after this attack, Ariana should have realized how famous she was because, quote, "Britney Spears didn't have a terrorist attack at her concert," end quote. This joke didn't go over well at the time, but a year later when it resurfaced after Pete and Ariana started dating, Ari defended her man, saying that he was just using humor to cope with the tragedy. Fans still weren't happy about what was said, and now that Pete has even more clout because of Kim K, if this joke were to resurface again, he could face more backlash than ever before. At number 3, Tic Tacs. During a segment on SNL while Pete Davidson and Ariana Grande were still dating, Pete made a joke about his relationship with the singer and trapping her in their relationship, and this ended up causing more backlash than genuine laughter. During the segment, Pete was talking about how Ariana was the breadwinner in their relationship and how he was just living off her wealth, and made a joke that he was trying to trap her in the relationship so that he could keep living like that. Pete said that in order to keep her around, he switched her birth control pills with Tic Tacs, saying, quote, "Last night I switched her birth control with Tic Tacs. I believe in us and all. I just want to make sure that she can't go anywhere." This ended up causing some controversy because fans said that not only should Pete not be able to control his girlfriend's reproductive rights, but that it was also hella toxic that he joked about trapping her. This is probably one comment that Pete wishes would stay hidden because judging by the fact that he is currently dating Kim K, people might think that he might pull a stunt like this again. At number 2, Howard Stern. There are just some things that you shouldn't share with the public about your relationship, and your intimacy is definitely one of those things. But Pete doesn't hold back with anything, and in 2018 he told Howard Stern about his private time with Ariana Grande. The comedian dished about the intimate time he spent with Ariana, saying, quote, "Anytime we're intimate, I'm always apologizing and saying thank you. You're awesome for doing this. Thank you so much," end quote. To make matters even more uncomfortable, Pete also talked about how before they were together, he would pleasure himself to the thought of Ariana Grande. It is a really weird and gross thing to say publicly, so this might be a comment that Pete wishes that he could keep from the public because it could reflect badly on him and his new relationship with Kim K. And finally, at number 1, Spotlight. In the past, Pete has reflected on the fame that he has as a comedian and just as a public figure in general, saying that he doesn't always like having all eyes on him. With that said though, some people have called those comments hypocritical because of the fact that though he hates the spotlight, he enters relationships with A-list celebrities. Now that he's dating one of the biggest celebrities, those hypocritical comments could come back to cause controversies, so maybe this is something that he could have wished was secret.